D'Annunzio here. Many blessings to you on this beautiful morning. Welcome to Intentional Influence Day 2. And I have straight up 10 o'clock right now, so I'm going to begin. We still have a lot of people coming into the symposium. So what I'm going to do is just begin with a little bit of review from our last part of our session. And so we always lead with intention. And what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be doing kind of a two-way presentation here. One, we're modeling for you what we hope that you're doing with your potential clients and prospects. And what happens when you lead with intention is that it changes the energy of how people receive what you do. So our intention here today is to share uncommon knowledge with you, to reveal areas of hidden conflict that limit your life and your business results and help you to resolve them, and to create clarity around what you need to do to take your life success to the next level. Okay? So we're here to share uncommon knowledge. And the interesting thing about uncommon knowledge is that most people push back on uncommon knowledge because it's not common. And when we're in our lower self, our ego self, we think we know all that needs to be known. So one of the things that we talk about is a principle that gets you to bypass principles and laws that help you bypass the ego thinking mind, which is the source of all suffering on earth. Okay? And so the review of this key principle is the key principle is called hard easy. Now, many of you are on this call and you're students. I see your names here, and welcome to all of you. I'm so blessed you're here. There's people here from all over the country and all over the world, and we're really, really honored. The first key principle, even if you have heard this principle before, I want you to write it down. Because so many of you are teaching this. You're teaching it to your children. You're teaching it to your clients. You're teaching it to your team. You're teaching it to your students. The question is, how can I take hard easy 1 degree more in my life? Knowing that it's not there to make my life hard. It's there to make my life easy. So what is the hard easy principle? Every moment you face a decision. Every moment. By committing to do what appears to be the hard things first, you make the rest of your life easy. See, this is the discipline principle. The principle that discipline is freedom. Okay? But you have the higher self inside of you, your God self, that knows discipline is freedom. It knows it. But most of us align with our ego thinking mind, our lower self first, which says discipline feels like punishment. So when you're practicing hard easy, you're on your way to making your life easier. And all we're asking for is a 1 degree shift in practicing hard easy. What does that mean? Please don't do what the ego thinking mind tells you to do. For instance, let's say you want to be making an hour's worth of prospecting calls 3 days a week, right? Now, what does the ego self? You should be doing an hour of calls 5 days a week. No. If you were going to practice hard easy around making your prospecting calls, what might it look like? Tuesday morning from 10 o'clock to 11, I make an hour worth of value creation invitation calls. Monday, I don't make those calls. Monday's an easy day. Tuesday's a hard day. Wednesday is a hard day. I'm going to make my prospecting calls, my invitation calls, Wednesday as well from 10 to 11. Thursday, I'm going to take it as an easy day. Friday, I'm going to make it a hard day. This is a pragmatic way of practicing hard easy in your practice. Okay? How can you take this principle, which is the key principle of all highly successful people? There's an inventor in Japan right now that has more patents than Thomas Edison, who had 1,800. And they showed him on TV. He's the leading holder of patents in the world today. He owns a massive multi-million-dollar technology company. And he takes hard easy so seriously that when his limo pulls up to his office in the morning, he makes them pull only 1 foot away from the wall. and he squeezes out of the door. Can you imagine that? Why does he do that? He intentionally makes his life hard because he knows every time he does, the discipline is taking his mind and channeling it into making an easier life. So what we're not doing is we're not trying to make your life hard. We're trying to make your life easy. I want everybody please to mute yourself. Go to the bottom of your screen and click mute. Okay? Thank you so much and welcome to the symposium. I know you're coming in to the symposium, just joining us. Some of you are looking and go, oh, he's talking about hard, easy. I know that. I have to tell you something. I don't know hard, easy. I don't. I need to teach it every day to remind myself because I'm in a human form. And that human form gets caught in thinking. And the ego is the thinking mind. So all I'm looking for is to come today for all of you with what I call a beginner's mind. The beginning of the growth mindset and soul purpose is coming every day with a beginner's mind. With this childlike wonder at the gift of this day. Okay? So that's a 1 degree shift in hard easy. Remember, there's 360-degree circle around you, 360 options you could take at all times. I'm only looking for hard easy 1 degree shift. If you're just coming into this call, welcome, blessings on this beautiful morning. We're reviewing from day 1, hard easy. And we're asking you to come to hard easy today, which is a principle that says every moment you face a decision by committing to do what appears to be. It's actually not the hard thing. It's the right thing. But it appears to be the hard thing first. You make the rest of your life easy. And it's a 1 degree shift. We're not looking for 2 degrees, 10 degrees, just 1 degree shift. And why is that so? Imagine a mariner leaving Portugal, a sailor. And he's looking to go to Miami, right? And he sets course, but he's 1 degree off course. Well, 1 degree over 1 nautical mile is 2 inches. No big deal. But 1 degree over 2,000 miles, over the whole Atlantic crossing, is 53.6 miles off course, which puts him not in Miami, but in Cuba. Puts him in a different country. So if you were practicing hard easy and course correcting on track with just 1 activity, it would literally bring you to a different country in your life success. Does that make sense? And so the example that I gave is how would you practice hard easy around something as pragmatic as marketing or prospecting or referral gathering? And this is what we teach our coaches. We have coaches on this call that make prospecting calls every day. I do. I actually had a call before this call, a coaching call with a dear friend. So how would you practice it? Make Monday an easy day. Make Tuesday a hard day. Begin first thing in your business with prospecting calls for an hour. Make Wednesday a hard day. Make Thursday an easy day. Your mind gets to rest. You get to see clients or work on marketing plans or do the things you really love doing. Make Friday a hard day. Saturday and Sunday are easy. Monday's an easy day. It's kind of a prep day. You're beginning to reboot your business. You're working on some planning and some case prep or whatever. Okay? Tuesday's hard. Wednesday's hard. Thursday's easy. Friday's hard. This is a way of pragmatically putting hard easy into your business practice. And as you come to hard easy, for those of you that have been students, there are longtime students on this call today. Okay? For those of you that are longtime students, I would ask you to come to today's symposium with a beginner's mind. Because I am just learning hard easy. I'm just learning it today. Okay, and the key law that we talked about is the law of awareness. And the law of awareness says, I can only change what I am aware of and cannot change what I am unaware of. Like some of you actually believe that discipline is punishment. Does discipline feel punishing? If it feels punishing, you believe that discipline is punishment. I personally have experienced that discipline is freedom. That's what hard easy is about. So now I'm able to see all the undisciplined areas of my life. around my eating habits, around my exercise, around my meditation habits, around my prayer habits, et cetera, et cetera. Right? And so the law of awareness begins to show you the limitations of human knowledge. Like Socrates famously said, the only thing I know is that I don't know. That's a beginner's mind. You know, generally regarded as one of the Einstein thinkers of the world, Socrates said, the only thing I know for sure is that I don't know. And so we talked about in our last symposium, I'm catching you all up to date. We're doing a review for those of you that weren't there. For those of you that were there, welcome to day 2. If you just got here, thank you so much for the gift of your time and your presence here today. And we talked about the 4 aspects of human knowledge. The first 2 are generally talked about, the last 2 are not. The first aspect of human knowledge is what you know that you know. For instance, most of you know how to use a computer, but have no idea how to write code. So you know how to do basic functions on a computer, and you also know that you don't know how to get into the back end of your computer and actually write code, write programming, right? So you know what you can do there, and you know what you can't do there. But now we get into the other 2 aspects of human knowledge that are so mysterious. This is where Hard Easy takes us to higher levels. This is where being aware and practicing awareness practices like meditation and affirmation connect us to our higher self, okay? What you think you know, but don't. Things that you think you know, but don't. Like most people may think they know about money, but on this call, we have over 100 financial advisors, okay? And you meet with people that tell you every day, yeah, I'm all set, yeah, I'm all set. And you sit down with them and you look at what they've done and they're far from all set, right? They're not saving enough, they're underinsured, they're paying too much in taxes, right? You know this, but they think differently. They think they know, but don't. And the final piece is what you don't know, you don't know. Let me give you a possibility of what you don't know, you don't know. I'm going to say this. I'm not saying it's true or false. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying it's useful. It's useful. Okay? What you may not know and don't know, you don't know. Every human being on earth during this amazing time of amazing opportunity and amazing challenge is doing the very best they can with what they have, given the conditions of their life, their belief system, and their environment. Every human being on earth is doing the very best they can with what they have, given their life circumstances, their environment, their belief system, and their level of consciousness. Now, some of you are saying, oh, that's BS. You're right, it is BS. It is a belief system. Those of you that embrace that as a possibility are starting to move into your higher self. Every human being is born with a purpose on this earth. We call it soul purpose. Why? Because some others call it life purpose. The mind, the thinking mind, is the ego, and it blocks your ability to see your soul purpose. When you get up out of the mind and you get up into the aware mind, right? This is why the law of awareness is so important. You are in your soul. You are viewing things from the top, the summit viewpoint of life. And you look down on your mind, you look down on your body, you look down on your emotions from S-O-U-L, source of unconditional love, source of unconditional light. You're in the aware mind, it's pure light. And you're connected to your higher power, your God self, right? And you're looking down on your life and you get to see it differently, with more compassion, with more understanding. And you get to say, wow, I'm doing the very best I can with what I have, given my environment and my belief systems. And if I don't like my life results, I know they come from limiting beliefs. So what do? I change my belief systems through the power of intention. Okay, I change my belief systems through the power of intention. And what is the law of intention? It says energy flows where intention goes, and that is what grows. What you focus on expands, right? What you focus on expands. So I'm going to take us through a little mini meditation, really mini meditation. I'm going to do it very differently. I'm going to do what I call an affirmation meditation. And then what I'm going to ask you to do is just sit back in your chair for a moment. Take your dominant hand. In my case, it's right hand. Some of you are left-handed, but take your dominant hand, put it in the center of your chest, please. Take your non-dominant hand and put it beneath it on your solar plexus. Sit back, close your eyes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a phrase. And I want you to repeat that phrase in your mind, not out loud, but in your mind, okay? And I just want you to go with me. I'm going to say a series of positive affirmations, and these affirmations are designed to change the vibration that's going through your body. They're designed to raise the frequency of what is possible in your life, and they work every single time, okay? And then I'll tell you how they work chemically and biologically after we do this. So we're doing a meditation right now. It's going to be only a couple minutes, and it's going to be an affirmation, an active meditation where I'm saying a phrase, and then I'm going to pause for 2 to 3 seconds, and you'll repeat the phrase in your mind. And then I'll say the next phrase, and you repeat that one, okay? And it's based on the law of intention. I began this workshop with an intention. Now you're going to be buying in with your own intentions. And these intentions will open up your ability to influence others. And that is called intentional influence. Okay, so dominant hand on your high chest, non-dominant hand beneath it. Here we go. I expect and receive miracles. I think both and rather than either or. I focus on what I want, not what I don't want. What I focus on expands. I am worthy and deserving to receive. I have a big why. I am a divine being with a divine purpose. I have important gifts to share in the world. I add great value in the world. I am guided by infinite intelligence. There are no problems, only opportunities to grow. I can handle any challenge when and if it arises. I am enough. There is more than enough for everyone. My thoughts become things. I am always moving forward. I make the right decisions. I am willing to do what is hard. My word is law in the universe. I am the master of my fate and the captain of my soul. I am a teacher, and I have important knowledge to share. I acknowledge and celebrate my successes. I am powerful beyond measure. My highest desires are manifesting now. I manifest the glory of God that is within me. I have complete faith in myself and in God. That faith is sufficient to achieve the manifestations of whatever my heart desires. I see all change as being in my highest interest. I am curious about what is happening in my life. I stay fully in the present, here and now. And finally, my affirmations work whether I believe in them or not. Now, don't just jump right back into the normal consciousness. I'm going to count backwards from 5 to 1, and you're going to open your eyes feeling really refreshed and really powerful and in a positive vibratory state. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we have reviewed last week the power of meditation, the power of the principles and laws. For those of you just joining us, welcome to day 2 of Intentional Influence. I'm so honored you're here. For those of you that weren't here in day 1, we just went through a quick review. One of your big takeaways for each one of you is please understand the laws and principles. When you're working the laws and principles, they create what I call the ABCs of life success. A, attunement. Like we just tuned you to a higher frequency. How do you feel after saying those affirmations? Some of you feel great. Some of you feel silly. Some of you feel like, oh my gosh, what is this? Is this a kumbaya meeting, right? And what's happening there for all 3 of you is perfect. For those of you that say, oh my gosh, is this a kumbaya meeting? You are seeing the limiting beliefs coming out through this meditative affirmation. We as human beings have a higher self that becomes highly tuned through meditation and prayer. And that tuning is the first ABC of soul purpose, which is attunement. Attunement. Okay? The B is buoyancy. Buoyancy, which is building your strength to not be knocked down by the challenges of the world when people lie to you, are mean-spirited, etc. You're building buoyancy, the ability to float instead of drown in the ocean of life. And the final C is clarity, ABC, attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. So let's talk about distinctions and definitions. Please go to page 3. On page 3, you'll see there's a series of statements. Number 1, intention. What is it? I want you to fill in the blank. Wherever you see green, there's a blank. I want you to fill it in with your pen. Here we go. Intention is a noble goal delivered with an attitude of non-attachment. Okay? Non-attachment is the way that you stay buoyant in the world. People will tell you yes and lie. People will tell you they like you and do something bad. People will tell you they're going to do something with you and not do it. People are going to tell you they'll send you a check and not send you the check. People are going to tell you they're going to send the paperwork They'll tell you several times, I'm sending the paperwork, it's going out today, and not do it. And this is why non-attachment is so important. Non-attachment is placing your caring on the things you can control without allowing the things you cannot control to cause you pain. So when you deliver an intention, you deliver your why, you're non-attached. But what it does is it creates attunement. People tune into your intention. If you say, look, I want to let you know why I'm here to help you learn a philosophy that will help you save tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessarily paid taxes and help you recapture that tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars and put it into a better investment that will compound over the next 20, 30 years so you have more spendable income in retirement. That's why I'm here. And they may go, wow, that sounds great, and do nothing with it. But at least you tuned them in, and if you're not attached with that intention, you feel a buoyancy. They can't hurt you. But if you take it personally, you go under the water and you drown in what I call the sea of sameness. So what you're doing by the power of intention is you're creating a noble goal, you're leading with your why, and it's delivered with an attitude of non-attachment. What is influence? This is important. It comes from the Latin root word inflowing, okay? It is the ability to move people, to discover, achieve, and sustain for themselves an ongoing flow, right? It's an inflow of wellness and success. That's why we're all here. That's why us and all our coaches are here for you. I'm not successful if I'm not helping you become more successful. That's called influence, inflowing. And of course, the principles will ensure a continual flow through the power of intention. Prosperity. Prosperity is not having anything. It's a state of being. It is a state of peaceful confidence with who you are, what you know, and what you do. It's a way of being, knowing, and doing. It's being aware of your soul purpose. It's sharing that knowledge with other people and doing it in a way that creates value for them. A state of peaceful confidence with who you are, what you know, and what you do. Scarcity, a not enough mindset that materializes as a lack of knowledge, resources, and material possessions, primarily currency. Okay, most people call it money. I call it currency. You'll find out why in a minute. Now, what's so interesting is if what you focus on expands, okay, that's the law of intention, right? If you're holding not enough in your mind, what will expand? Knowing the thoughts become things. The thought of not enough materializes as a thing called lack. A lack of currency, a lack of material possessions, a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge. The greatest resource that I have in my life is my connection to my higher power and my connection to you. You are the resource. Sufficiency, a mindset that there's enough. Materializing as an adequate amount of material possessions and currency. So scarcity and sufficiency are mindsets. Prosperity is a state of being. So if there's a mindset, yeah, there's enough, you'll have enough. If there's a mindset that says there's not enough, there won't be enough. And ultimately, abundance is a mindset of more than enough that materializes as plenty. Isn't that cool? Plenty of material possessions and currency. We're on number 6. You're writing. I know you're all with me. Okay? Number 7, love. Boy, is this word adulterated, right? Adults misuse this word. You know, I love the Yankees. I love chocolate. Oh, and oh, by the way, I love you. No, love in our definition is the natural energy of creation. The natural energy of creation. As an action, it is LOVE, leaving others valuable experiences. If I'm not creating value in my soul purpose, I'm not in love. I'm not being loving. I'm inspired by love to live my soul purpose, to create more value and leave it with you, because the truth is, in business, 10 minutes after you walk out of the room, people aren't going to remember what you did or what you sold. They're going to remember how you made them feel, how you made them feel, and what that thing they bought makes them feel more powerful or less powerful. How you made them feel is your purpose. The object, the product, the service is the power. Did you leave them value? Did you leave them an experience of power? Was it purposeful? That's love as an action. The natural energy of creation. What is fear? The natural energy of protection. Protection is important, critically important. Fear is important. Fear is motivational. But on the stairway of selves, at the low levels of power, we see fear as FEAR, false evidence appearing real. It paralyzes us from taking action, and we walk around completely unprotected. And the problem with letting fear paralyze us is we not only walk around unprotected, but we vibrate lack into the giant cosmic magnet called the universe. What else could come back to us but people, events, and things in harmony with that dominant vibration? Lack, lack, lack. And so we co-create a reality that says, when we're in lack and we're in fear and paralyzed to take powerful action, we co-create a reality that is disastrous, which says, I live in a universe that hates me. I'm not enough. I can't get what I want. I don't belong here. And 80% of the world feels that way. You're in the 20%. You're in the 20%, or you wouldn't be here. We have a responsibility to our brothers and sisters to reach out and to invite them, to intentionally influence them, to move them, to achieve and sustain and maintain and create together an ongoing flow of success in their life. Because the truth is, everything I do to you, I do to me. Everything I do for you, I do for me. And so when I say I love you, it's co-creating together the life you want. It's not romantic love, right? Again, Socrates, Aristotle, and Plato talked about the ancient Greeks, 3 kinds of love. Eros, romantic love. When I say I love you, that's not what I'm talking about. Philos, Philos, brotherly love. The root of the Philadelphia, the word, you're right, the city of Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. It's not brotherly love. It's agape love. It's leaving others valuable experiences. It's an act of your higher self. It's a higher love where you're taking action. And that transcends the fear, so that fear becomes an action step, which is, I'm afraid, what would love do now? And that love lets you get out of lack, out of being paralyzed, to face every reality that's causing you anxiety, to face every anxious reality by practicing hard easy and getting clear about your intentions and meditating and raising your awareness. And then you start to really work with your money. What is money to us? Human wisdom, labor, and talent serving people in the market. Money is not dead presidents on dirty paper. It is not coins that are grooved. I mean, think about it. Bitcoin is human exchange, talent, and wisdom. So is this currency, if you will. Who created currency? Human beings, to facilitate exchange. But it is not money. You're the money. If you take your knowledge and your wisdom and you work, that's called labor, to share your talent with other people in the market. What is currency? A barter tool, a societal agreement facilitating multiple exchange. Currency is critically important because when you retire, you're no longer putting your wisdom, labor, and talent into the market, and you're going to live off your currency. And most people are not going to live with dignity because they're not saving enough currency. They don't have enough vehicles, and that's where most of you come in. Now, there's, I think, 150 people here in the workshop. Welcome if you just came in. Blessings. Thank you for your time and energy and contribution. But many of you are financial advisors. You are not helping people if you're not intentionally inviting them and influencing them for all these reasons, okay? The ABCs of value-based enrollment. These are the principles of value-based enrollment that create attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. There's an old movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, and it's a movie about salespeople and starring Alec Baldwin. If you've not seen it, it's really kind of a goofy movie and funny and a comedy, but it's about some real kind of scummy salespeople, you know? And he says, here's the ABCs of sales. Always be closing, always be closing, always be closing. And most people believe that. I grew up in that marketplace and in that environment. I did. It led me to be pride-driven, which led me to understand what folly that is. The real ABCs of value-based enrollment are attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. When you create an intention with people, you're treating them as if they are the prime asset. The number one thing in scarcity is that money is the asset. The number one thing in abundance and prosperity being is that people are assets. Currency has no value without other people to exchange it and share it with. A buddy of mine who owns a lot of real estate down in Dallas said to me, Steve, that's not true. I go, really? So your real estate has value? He goes, yeah, it has value. I go, so how many doors do you own, right? He goes, 700. I said, without tenants, what are they worth? He goes, what do you mean? I said, think about it. Without tenants to pay you rent on every one of those apartments, what are they worth? He goes, well, they were $2 million. I go, no, they're not. They're worth nothing. It's the renters that pay you. It's the renters that have value. Okay? So the source of all invention and innovation is human life value. If you are not muted, please stop. Go to the bottom of your screen and mute yourself, please. Because if you just came in and you're speaking, you're interrupting the symposium, and I know you didn't know that. Number 2, dollars follow value. Dollars follow value, okay? Number 3, value lives in the mind of the client. If the only ethical way to make more money is by creating more value, and since money follows value, we must learn to create value for people on their terms, not ours. This happens by caring enough to connect to them and ask them what they value. Trust times value equals win 3. What this means is learning to forge trust with people, because without it, you can't create value. You must first forge trust with people for any level of value to be received, and the value is best received as a win-win-win, in which the client wins first, you win second, and then all other stakeholders third: your company, the manufacturer, society. I love this principle. Conscious exchange creates wealth. Unconscious exchange destroys wealth. This refers to us as conscious capitalists, compassionate capitalists. We're using a system of free market enterprise called capitalism. Very powerful. But capitalism erodes society when it's done unconsciously. I call that crony capitalism. On the other hand, as opposed to conscious or compassionate capitalism, my friend Blaine Bartlett wrote a book called Compassionate Capitalism. It's worth a read. Because conscious exchange creates wealth and unconscious exchange destroys it. And when you live these principles and laws, what it creates is the ABC of value-based enrollment. Attunement, which means I'm connected to the other person and I'm in tune with them. Buoyancy means if they tell me no, I'm okay. Clarity means I know exactly what they want and they know I'm here to serve them so they can get it. Because there's two polarities of exchange, two ways to exchange with people, all right? People make decisions based on two things, value or price. So if you go to Walmart, what is their philosophy? Remember the commercials, Price Chopper? We will beat the price of anything. It's always price, and it's cheap crap. Mostly made not in America, right? And I don't have problems if we exchange with some other country. I'm just saying, notice the goods. For those of us that don't understand capitalism, if you keep buying cheap crap, you are voting for cheap crap. That's a price-based, scarce decision. If, on the other hand, you're voting with every dollar and you understand you vote with your currency, then you make decisions based in value. And so as a value creator, 99% of the world is in scarcity. They make their decisions based in price. If you turn that upside down and you become a value creator as who you are, you're living in prosperity. You will be confident and peaceful with who you are, what you do, and what you know. And you have the 1% advantage over everyone else in the world. Because you are now free to play in the 99% playing field called the market, just because you create extraordinary value. How? How is that so? Because there's two polarities of exchange. And for those stuck in price, in the absence of extraordinary value, price is always the central issue. But in the presence of extraordinary value, price is rarely an issue. I want you to just take this in and be with this for a minute. When you're coming from abundant mindset and you're in the prosperity paradigm, and if you haven't read the book Prosperity Paradigm that I wrote many years ago, please buy it. Okay? In the absence of extraordinary value, price is always the central issue. You're coming from scarcity, you're vibrating lack. What comes back but more lack? In the presence of extraordinary value, price isn't an issue. Why? Because you understand value. Value is any person, service, or product that, number one, eliminates threats. Okay? Number two, fulfills obligations with greater certainty. Now, I'm knowing you're hearing this and then writing it. Threats, especially unseen threats. Fulfills obligations, number two, with greater certainty, and capitalizes on opportunities by transferring risk. Because people are always risk averse until they lose. And then when they lose, they're not risk averse, they're back in scarcity. So why capitalize on an opportunity by taking on more risk? Why not transfer risk to an insurance company? Okay, that's what value is. Okay, now I'm going to shift and take you quickly through the 5 levels of influence, which is called leadership. Leadership is influence. Influence is leadership. Some people say to me, well, Steve, I'm not a leader. Well, who's leading your life if not you? Right? And there's 5 levels of leadership. We see this in the book Good to Great. They call them level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leader. Right? We see this in John Maxwell, the great leadership coach. Right? He's got his 5 levels of leadership. We see this in Abraham Maslow's 5 levels of the laws of hierarchy of human needs: survival, safety, love and belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization. And I also write about this in Prosperity Paradigm, the 5 basic levels of how people operate in the world and why they do what they do. Fear, desire, pride, the lower levels, and then mission and love, the higher levels. So let's look at the 5 levels of leadership, and this is on page 5. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and then we're going to do an exercise. The first level of leadership is situational leader. Imagine a young man decides that he wants to go to work. He's got no college education. He barely graduated from high school. He goes to a McDonald's. He fills out a form. And the manager comes out. She hands him the form. She says he seems like a nice young guy, and she hires him. He follows her because he has to. It's a basic level of leadership, right? Number one. Number two, satisfactory leadership. Imagine the same manager is kind and respectful. The kid's a little bit slow, but she takes her time with him. She spends a little extra time. She shows him how to work the burners and the fryer and whatever, and he catches on. And now, because she's been kind, even though he was slow, he follows her because he wants to. That's a satisfactory leader. But imagine that she can't keep up with them. Like he actually becomes better at serving fries and hamburgers. She's not status driven. She's only satisfactory. She stops at level 2 because she's not consistently producing like some of the other people. Maybe she can run and manage the books, but they fall behind when she's on the line during a heavy rush. So she's stuck at level 2. But imagine she continues to consistently produce. That is a status-driven leader. People follow you because you consistently produce. Now imagine she gets out on that line and no one puts the orders out there faster, cleaner, with greater efficiency, changes the fryer grease at the right time. She's a status-driven leader. But oftentimes status-driven leaders are in pride mode, and especially when it comes to the business of money. And we see these people get stuck in scarcity thinking. They don't like people. They like money. And this is pride mode. And they begin to become what I call the dominator. And they stop being able to move people. They forget that people are assets. And then they call to themselves pain and trouble. And this is where becoming a lifelong learner and being willing to adapt and change is so important. What happens when you're in status mode, you start to read your own press clippings, and that's the most dangerous dangerous thing you can do to a person is to believe the praise somebody else heaps upon you. To celebrate your success is one thing, but to take the praise personally puts you in pride mode. And your own pride then creates this negative vibration and ripple, which calls back to you a fall. That's why you see in every great spiritual teaching, pride goes before the fall. And what happens in pride mode is you get to see through your own suffering, the suffering of others in the world. And that kicks you into mission mode, or what I call the potential for servant leadership. The servant leader, people follow you because they feel served and uplifted in your presence. But even in mission mode, sometimes we still get attached to the outcome and we begin to be pushed down. We begin to lose our buoyancy. And that's when we have to really practice meditation and prayer and affirmation and get the opportunity to go to the highest level of leadership, which is really the summit of leadership, is the love-driven leader. And people follow you because you help them evolve into their highest version of self. So I want you to write these modes down because you're going to take a leadership metric in a minute that's going to show you these levels of leadership, okay? Situational leader, people follow because they have to. No choice involved, it's force. Satisfactory leader, people follow because they want to. It's starting to become power. Status leader, they've seen the obstacle of the ego and pride, and either they get stuck in it and never go beyond status, or they go beyond it to making the cause of their life serving others. This is the teaching of every great saint, savior, and avatar from the beginning of time. Essence of all spiritual work, servant leadership. But then you get to the summit, and the summit is soul purpose. It's helping other people self-actualize. That your self-actualization is based on how many other people have I helped to self-actualize. That's the summit of leadership. That's love. Okay? So you can now see these 5 levels, right? Situational leaders barely surviving, they're in fear mode. Satisfactory leaders in desire mode, they're safe, but they're not really prospering. A status-driven leader's in pride mode. He really only cares about his tribe. He really only cares about being right. He only cares about dominating others and winning and putting his name at the top of the list, which of course causes people to not like him, who wants to be around dominators. who look down their nose at everybody else, based in their own insecurity, right? And then you see servant leader. He or she is in mission mode and they have strong self-esteem, not because they think they're all that, but because it's the basic self-respect earned, knowing you make a difference in the lives of others. It's an honest self-respect. And then the summit is love by helping others self-actualize. So you shift through the power of intention, your influence. When you shift your intention from proving worth to providing value, you access a new level of power and proficiency. When you shift your intention from proving worth to providing value, you access a new level of power and proficiency. And I'm going to come back to this, okay? What I want you to do to understand the leadership metric is I want you to first review your answers and circle the 3 lowest scores, okay? And I want you to review them. As you review them, I want to help you do that. I want you to go through and I want you to notice what the first one is about is discipline. Hard Easy is about discipline, okay? The second one is about acceptance, right? Accepting others for who they are. The third one is about presence. I am genuinely present, real, and authentic with people, etc. The fourth one is about a growth mindset. I am open to change my behavior. Now, what we're looking for is, right, if you're excellent or very good, or even good, but where you want to really look at, where is it 2, 1, or 0, right? Where are you fair, poor, or not doing it at all, right? So you want to circle your 3 lowest scores, okay? Number 5 is about being people-centric. I intentionally focus on putting people and clients first by seeking to create value for them on their terms. The 6th is being direct and specific with people. We call it being carefrontational. The 7th leadership quality is being compassionate. I see the world through the eyes of others, attempting to put myself in their shoes. The 8th is being honorable, right? I recognize the destructive nature of gossip, so when issues occur, I take them to the source and encourage team members to do the same. The 9th is about being a responsible challenger. Challenge others responsibly and with care. The 10th is being solutions focused. This is what you see in level 5 leaders, by the way. All right? The 11th is being a lifelong learner. I create the time to study my craft and commit to be a lifelong learner. That's the 11th. The 12th is being a visionary. I take the time to see the big picture and practice visionary thinking. Right? The 13th is the awareness of ego and pride and the detrimental effects on your life. What you're doing is you're looking through your answers now, circling your 3 lowest scores. The 14th one is self-actualizing, right? I see life as a gift and determined to actualize myself and potential by living my soul purpose. The 15th is vulnerability. I am comfortable being myself and letting others in by sharing thoughts, feelings, likes, dislikes, so on and so forth. The 16th quality is integrity and honest. I'm willing to admit what's not working and also willing to ask for help. Open to feedback and direct authenticity to connect with others, so on and so forth. The 17th is being accountable, right? High-level leaders are accountable. The 18th is being authentic. I do not hide behind roles or facades and usually let others know where I stand. The 19th quality is being a master communicator. I ask open-ended questions meant to forge trust and help other people feel comfortable about sharing and opening up to me. And the last one was about being the observer chooser, being observant. I listen well, I pay attention to both verbal and nonverbal cues, etc. Now, you've gone through and circled your 3 lowest issues, okay? Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna do this first exercise, what we call breakout exercise 1. The beginning of it is you're doing yourself still, okay? At the bottom of page 7 here, okay, you've now got a total score. Are you between 90 and 100? Add them all up. Are you between 80 and 89? A level 4 leader. Are you between 70 and 79? A level 3 leader. Are you between 60 and 69? A level 2 leader. Or are you under 60? A level 1 leader, right? We went through the 5 levels of leadership. You want to know where you are. It's much less important where you are than the awareness of the level you are. Let me say that again. the score itself isn't all that important. It's not as important where you are as being aware and taking ownership of where you are, and then setting a new intention of where you want to be. We're going to take you through the ability to increase your influence right now. At the bottom of page 7, you'll see when it comes to practicing the leadership skill of 1, and there's a big blank, I commit to a new awareness and possibility. From now on, I intend to blank. And look, there's a sample, right? You can see the sample right there on page 7 in the text box. So imagine you got a really low score on number 1, practicing hard easy around discipline, right? So when it comes to practicing the leadership skill of hard easy, I commit to a new awareness and possibility. And now you're going to write down an action step. From now on, I intend to, and you're going to write in there, do my best to make a 1-degree hard easy shift and give my word only if I intend on following through with it. Now, what you're going to do is go through your 3 lowest scores. You know what they are. You know what the topics are. It may be accountability, right? It may be growth mindset. Whatever it is, you're going to now go to the beneath the text box to number 1, and I want you to say, this is where you're going to address your first lowest leadership score by writing your issue in the first blank. So it might be, when it comes to practicing the leadership skill of accountability, or when it comes to practicing the leadership skill of following through on my word, or growth mindset. Write down the issue there of your lowest score, okay? Then go to the second blank. I commit to a new awareness and possibility. From now on, I intend to write down what you think you intend to do. How do you increase your influence? Look at the lowest score if you're not being accountable. How about, I intend to select an accountability partner.
Oh, thank you.
Would you like chicken biscuit?
Please mute yourself, Chris Clark. Please mute yourself. Thank you, buddy. Right, you want to make sure everybody's muted, okay? If it's becoming a lifelong learner, right, it's I commit to choose a leadership book and read a book on leadership. Or if it's I'm struggling with the awareness around my ego, number 13 was a low score. You would say, I commit to practice meditation and say my intention statement, which was your homework from our last workshop, and say my intention statement 3 times a day out loud with my hand on my heart. But you're going to come up with the corrective action. This is where you are increasing your own influence. Okay? So if you've done number 1, go to number 2. That's your second lowest score, right? When it comes to practicing the leadership skill of, what was the second one? It might be about being compassionate to others, right? You may see that you're really low at being compassionate to other people. Okay? So you may say, I'm going to focus on increasing my compassion with other people by writing into my intention statement a line about being more compassionate, showing people more understanding by recognizing they're actually doing their very best, even though people are difficult. So you're now doing number 2. If you've done 1 and 2 and you understand the exercise, right? What you've done in this exercise is you're going to then go to number 3 when it comes to practicing a leadership skill of being solutions focused. In other words, geez, I focused on problems a lot. Let me be more solutions focused. I see the problem, but all my energy will go on the solution. So you'd write down, when it comes to practicing a leadership skill of number 10, being solutions focused, I commit to see the problem and write down immediately 3 action steps I can take that might solve it, right? So you're taking your 3 lowest scores, you're writing down in each of these blanks, and 1, 2, and 3, right? And blank 1, the issue is growth mindset. The issue is presence. The issue is people centricity, right? The issue is being accountable. And then you're coming up with what you can do. You're owning it from awareness and possibility. And then you say, from now on, I intend to meet with my accountability every Friday, twice a month, and go through the numbers. Or I commit to take care of my lack of ego awareness and my pride by meditating 5 days a week using the insight timer.com app, right? But you're getting clear, taking ownership of the problem, of your leadership issue, and then you're committing to a new awareness and possibility by writing a new intention. This is increasing intentional influence, okay? We're gonna take 2 more minutes, then we're gonna do a breakout exercise in groups of 4. Take 2 more minutes, complete this exercise. So our friend Lisa Catronio, thank you for being here, Lisa, said, any ideas for the concept around self-actualizing? And so let's read what that said, right? It said, I see life as a gift and am determined to actualize myself in potential by living my soul purpose. I am committed to play life full out to make this happen as best possible. So what you would do, Lisa, is I would put that in your intention statement. Last 2 weeks ago, we created an intention statement. It was your homework. I would actually put that phrase in. So you're affirming it every day. I see life as a gift, and I am determined to actualize myself and potential by living my soul purpose. I am committed to play life full out to make this happen as best possible. That's a great affirmation. And I imagine somebody as powerful as you are, Lisa, if you were to say that over and over and over and over again, 3 times a day, every day, what will start to happen is the things around you that you may be missing, right? Intention changes your focus. You begin to see the things around you, the opportunities for actualizing at a higher level. You're going to see them. Right now, you may be walking by them. So this is called attunement. You attune yourself through the power of intention to be seeing opportunities around you that may exist right now, but you may not be seeing because we don't know we don't know. It's one of our human flaws. It's one of the flaws of knowledge, right? I hope that made sense to you, Lisa. You're welcome. That's another great thing that Ralph said, right? Appreciate oneself and keep your focus on your life purpose. Terrific. The Power of Intention, or by Lynn McTaggart. Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer, or The Intention Experiment by Lynn McTaggart. And I think Lynn's work is more powerful than Wayne's, even though Wayne was a great teacher too. Love him like anything. Please mute yourself, everybody, if you will. Mute yourself. Thank you. Make sure you're muted, everybody, if you will. That we now know that intention transforms human thought into matter. This is without a question of a doubt. And what happens is you look at the 5 levels of leadership. What most of you don't realize, some of you do, is that the bottom 3 levels of leadership are what Maslow called the deficiency modes. And the top 2 levels, from servant and summit leadership, are what Maslow called the proficiency modes. And what happens in the power of intention is so critical, because what intention does is the intention to sell diminishes, lowers your power level down to level 3 or lower, status, satisfactory, or situational. You become deficient when needing a sale and thus create a disadvantage. You are then required to prove that you and your product are worth buying, which unintentionally elevates the client's authority up into dominance over you by weakening your self-esteem. Because remember, self-esteem is level 4 or higher. You unintentionally put them at a position of superiority over you. They feel put off by that dynamic, and they're not going to exchange. The intention to serve expands your power via the noble desire to create value. Your confidence shifts with that intention from weak to feeling strong because you're there to help. You're proficient. Feeling greater confidence, you access level 4. The burden then shifts from you having to prove worth to their having to declare value. Once they do, you can tailor the plan, whether it's a marketing plan or a financial plan or whatever the life success plan is, to specifically address their needs, creating favorable conditions for them to collaborate in buying their own co-created plan. Now, I want to go through this again because this is very advanced stuff. If you're going out to sell people, you are diminishing your own power down to level 3 leadership or lower, because you're saying, I need a sale. Instead of saying, I only need to focus on creating value. Who can I invite to create value? When you're down at level 3 or lower, you're deficient and at a disadvantage. That then elevates whoever you reach out to into a position of dominance over you. It's like a lion when the impala runs. They chase it. You unintentionally put them in a position of superiority. They feel put off by that dynamic. They don't feel powerful by being around you, and they don't exchange. Remember that business is a practice of power in which clients always align with the most powerful offers they can get. But the intention, not to sell, but to serve, expands your power via the power of intention, which is noble desire to create value and non-attached whether they say yes or no. Your confidence then shifts from feeling weak to feeling strong because you know you're there to help. You know you're there to make a difference. You now feel proficient. Feeling that greater confidence, you access level 4. And at level 4, the burden, the onus of proof isn't on you to prove worth. It's on them to declare what they want, to declare value. And once they do, you're now building trust and you're collaborating, which then tailors a plan to specifically address their needs, creating favorable conditions for them to buy their own created plan. You see, friends, people love to buy, but hate to be sold. It's not caveat emptor, which means buyer beware. It's caveat venditor, which means seller beware. We're now at a complete new time frame. Sales is over. It's time to serve. I wouldn't say buyer beware. I'd say if you're a seller, seller beware. Buyers are way more informed than they've ever been. They have 1,000 options to get the product and service you're selling, but not from you. Not if your intention is to serve. They can't get service on the internet, but they get quotes. So it's not buyer beware. It's not caveat emptor. It's caveat venditor. Beware seller, because you're diminishing yourself via the power of intention. But also, if you're into servant leadership and mission driven, you've got a massive advantage. So we're going to talk about a new idea. Let's go to page 8. An idea is an acronym. We think of idea as value-based enrollment. It's an acronym to remember the new mindset of value-based enrollment and servant leadership. That involves mastering by first understanding the 4 stages of an enrollment conversation. These are the stages people always go through when they're committing to sustained positive change. Okay, and this is how we move people to achieve, discover, and sustain change. That's influence, right? Okay, so what we want to do is understand that when we focus on each stage one at a time, the process becomes graceful and easy. We're able to help people get clear on what they most want, how they could best go about getting it, and whether or not there's a win-win that works for you both. The idea model helps you remember what these stages are and how to move people through them gracefully. So the first stage, at the top of page 8, you're going to write down invitation. And this first stage is what we call connection. In this stage, prospecting becomes inviting. We're never going to prospect anybody. The idea of prospecting is to sell something. The idea inviting is to serve something. And we connect through serving. We're inviting. The second stage, discovery. Where in the old sales world, we used to, what's your pitch, kid? What's your pitch, right? Pitching becomes discovering, in which we ask questions designed to build trust, value, and find what their discontent is. The third stage is clarity. Okay, clarity. That's where we educate people. Selling becomes educating. And the fourth stage is alignment, where they make a commitment. And instead of closing people, we're aligning. And this is what we mean by attunement. The ABC is not always be closing, but attuning, remaining buoyant, and creating clarity so that they can get a commitment and they align with that commitment. We're no longer prospecting, pitching, selling, or closing. We're inviting, discovering, educating, and aligning so they can take action. And the value comes from the power of questions. The 4 questions in each stage are really simple. In invitation, the question is this. We state an intention. I'm here to create extraordinary value. What does that look like for you today? The second question in discovery is, what threat or threats could derail achieving what your life, family, and business goals are? What threat could derail achieving your life, family, and business goals? In education, the question is, what are the principles, products, and plan that best resolves this threat? Remember, value is alleviating threats, fulfilling obligations, capitalizing on opportunities. So what are the principles, products, and plan that best resolves the threat? And by the way, the threat resolution should always come first. People practice easy hard. They go for the opportunity over the threat. Hard easy is threat first, protection first. And the alignment question is, what would be the value of making these changes that my principles, product, and plan bring to you? What would be the value of making these changes for you and your family? Notice these questions are all what we call open-ended questions. Level 5 leaders, love-driven leaders at the summit are helping others self-actualize by asking great open-ended questions. Okay, the power of questions. So let's look at and explain the boxes on page 8. The first movement is connection. The skill is learning to invite. How do we learn to invite? You're creating a positioning narrative that meets people where they are and invites them to your offer. Because trust times value equals win 3, and value only can flow at the speed of trust. Your attitude is being intentional and sincere. Just be sincere. You don't have to go, I love you, I care. No, you don't have to show strangers caring. What you do to create caring relationships and connection with strangers is sincerity. The second movement of change is concern. By the way, meeting 1, we call this trust builder in our process. Meeting 2, we call value creator. That's where you discover their concerns. And you do that by asking open-ended questions that help them discover unseen threats and opportunities. Here, we want them to see the discontent that they're missing. The discontent is the consequences of not working with you. Be lovingly disturbing. Don't create discontent. Discover it. And ask them what they really want. Do they want this discontent to manifest in their life? You're inquisitive and you're guiding. You're curious. You're asking great questions and you're just being a guide. The third movement of change is called clarity. That's where we're getting them clear, teaching your unique philosophy and the uncommon knowledge that sits behind it, and educating people on how to use products and services that provide superior value and ultimately create that level of confidence that is part of the prosperity paradigm, peaceful confidence. And by the way, if people aren't economically confident, they're not confident. And what is your attitude here? Knowledgeable and helpful. They're lucky to have you in front of them. And finally, commitment comes from aligning by contrasting where they were before you came into their life and how much better off they would be by exchanging with you. And it's the remembrance that through your confidence and non-attachment, part of that intention is noble goal plus non-attachment, right? That clients love to buy but hate to be sold, and you're only there to support them in aligning with their highest good. Now, what would the whole process look like? I know this is a busy slide, but just stay with me at the top. Through intention and invitation, you're creating a relationship container based in trust and love and value. Then through discovery, you're asking wisdom questions in which the client declares value and experiences what we call moving into the value funnel. At the connection, you're just creating a relationship container. In the concern mode, they're discovering what's valuable to them through your loving, caring questions, but also finding out that if they do nothing, it's going to get worse. And that creates discontent. And remember why that's important. Clients are more motivated to move away from discontent than towards doing the right thing. They're more motivated to move away from unnecessarily paying $50,000 in taxes than getting the right amount of life insurance for themselves and their family. I'm just using that as an example. We're more motivated to move away from pain than towards pleasure. We're more motivated to move away from discontent than doing the right thing. So you're moving them into the value funnel where they self-discover the power of value and the power of intention. Then you go from coaching, which is just asking questions, to consulting, which is being the consummate value creator. And that's where you're giving trusted advice. This is where you get total clarity around the education. And that trusted advice is the value, the plan, the principles, the products. And then they move into the fourth phase, which is commitment. You contrast, you align. Here's where you were before. Here's where you would be after we work together. Which is best for you? If it's truly best for us not to work together, I'm fine. You're still buoyant because you were non-attached. If it's truly best to implement my plan, welcome to the plan. Let's work together. I'm honored. Congratulations. Okay? So the art of invitation is creating a positioning story that connects to people's listening and meeting them where they are. You mentally replace the word prospecting with inviting, because you can't create value for someone you haven't invited, and you're looking at yourself as a producer, and you see every business day as a producer's party in which you invite lots of people, but only serve those that qualify. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into another section of the work. And we're going to talk about what it takes to really build trust and how to create value. And we do this through discovery and the power of questions. We're leaving invitation and we're going into discovery and the power of questions. And the first thing I want you to understand is how to build trust and what the three components of trust are. The first is, and by the way, if you go to page 10, let me see, because I have the screen up there. Oh, I actually have it up on the slide. Terrific. So if you go to page 10, what you'll see is, and I want you to fill in these first couple blanks. And what we're talking about is how to build trust and what the three components to trust are. And the first one is sincerity. What is sincerity? Obviously, it's a way of showing people you care. And it's an attitude sitting behind your voice that lets people know that you're authentic and transparent with what you're saying, that what you're saying is the words. And what you mean is the words you say, okay? And that's sincerity. The second is knowledgeable, that you have superior knowledge to share with people, that you have knowledge that can be life-changing for them. So if you're sincere, but don't bring them extra knowledge, trust is broken. But if you're sincere, then they're going to take the next leap of faith, which is to trust you through listening to your knowledge. And the last one is reliability, that you're reliable. So that you show up on time, you do what you say you're going to do, you do your best, and forgive the rest, right? These are the three components of trust. Now, what are the three components of value? Remember, we said that value is any person, product, or service that, one, eliminates threats. Why is this important? Because as human beings, we have inherent threats. Every day we walk out the door, there are threats, okay? COVID-19 is a threat. Economic instability is a threat. Right? On and on, you can see that there are many threats. But people typically, when they think of value, they don't think of it by eliminating threats. They don't know what they don't know. So you want to be able to really ask great questions that verify why eliminating threats are important to people. Okay? The second thing of value is it fulfills obligations with greater certainty. Fulfills obligations with greater certainty. The biggest obligation people have financially is cash flow. If you're helping people increase their cash flow and their understanding of cash flow with greater certainty, it's valuable. And the third level of understanding value in a financial context is capitalizing on opportunities by transferring risk, which equals financial peace of mind. Okay? When I take on more risk to glean an opportunity, I actually feel threatened. When I eliminate the threat and still capitalize on opportunity, the experience I get is confidence. Remember how big confidence is, right? Confidence in our work to have a prosperity mindset and to be in prosperity is a state of peaceful and harmonic confidence with who you are, what you know, and what you do. When you know how to build trust and you know how to discover what people want, then you learn discovery, which is building trust by caring enough to find out what they want today. Clarifying value by discovering where they want to be tomorrow. And this is what you're writing down on page 10 under ABC in the middle of the page. Discovery is first building trust, never assuming trust. There are people that you know that you may get as clients, and you may get them on a bad day for them, and you may have to reestablish trust, and you don't even know it. So you build trust by finding out what they want today. What does that sound like? Everybody that works with me on this call, there's probably 10 to 15, maybe 30 people on this call that have worked with me individually. Know that typically I start out with small talk because in connection mode, small talk is big talk. I want to say that again. In connection mode, small talk is where we relate to each other as human beings. You know, it might be saying with somebody, if I haven't talked to somebody a long time and I talk to them, I might say, boy, has the world changed since we last spoke, huh? You know, how are you doing with these changes? What's going on for you? How are they affecting your business? Small talk is big talk because it enters into a shared pool of meaning. It says, you are a human being and we are discussing our shared humanity. I'm not this big spiritual coach, and I'm not this amazing financial advisor, and I'm not the marketing guru. I'm a human being connecting to you here and now. Small talk is big talk because it enters a shared pool of meaning in which we share our humanity and we meet face to face as equals, even though you are the one that has superior knowledge in the context of your invitation. You are the one that may have superior knowledge in the context of your invitation. For instance, if I'm talking to a car mechanic and I'm his life coach, I'm the one in that context that has the superior knowledge. But if my car broke down, he's in superior knowledge, you see? And we're equals in that we each have a sole purpose. So by building trust, you are doing it through the power of questions, you're connecting, you're finding out what they want today. And then by clarifying value, you're discovering where they want to be tomorrow. Now, I want you to look at your page. Notice A says, here's where they are today. B says, here's where they want to be tomorrow. The want is where they are today. The need is what you're going to fulfill for them by removing the obstacle, which is the major discontent. Not saving enough money, not having a marketing plan, not having enough insurance, which they can use $1 for 3 uses, not having the proper licensure to get your estate planning or your exit planning done, right? All the values that everybody on this call creates. Your value is the C, it's in the middle. So A is building trust. B is clarifying value by pulling it out of their mouth. Asking them, everybody on this call that's worked with me knows I always, after small talk, say, where can we go today to bring you the most value? My students on this call are going, yeah, he does that. Yeah, he does that. Right? Glenn and I talked this morning, right? Glenn Golish is on this call, or was. And Glenn and I had our morning call this morning. And about 20 minutes into the call, we had this great catch up with Glenn's wins and all that were going on. I said, Glenn, where can we go to create the most value? And he goes, well, I really wanted to talk to you about blank. Okay. And that's uncovering the hidden obstacle that could or would destroy them getting where they want to be. And you want to make sure they understand what is the cost of you not taking care of that obstacle. What's the cost of you not doing your exit planning strategy and getting, working with BEI and getting your CXP? What's the cost to you? What would it cost you in dollars and cents? What might it be costing you? What is the hidden obstacle, right? And that's what's most valuable in that hidden obstacle, the discontent. People are more motivated to move away from that than towards buying your product. So what we want to do is serve them to get away from that obstacle. We want them to be able, through our loving, caring questions, to identify their discontent. And we start out really innocuous. Where are you today? What would be valuable today? Well, what are you doing to make sure that never happens? Well, what if you knew you were leaving $100,000 on the table? What's it costing you to not have your CXP? What's it costing you to not be having a budget? What's it costing you to not be doing brand awareness and have your marketing plan? What's it costing you? And now, I would never ask that question if I don't ask that question if I didn't have trust. How do I establish trust? Small talk. Meet people where they are. Small talk is big talk because it establishes our shared humanity and gets us into a shared pool of meaning where when it's time, the green light hits and you know it's time to go with your offer and you say, hey, the reason I'm here is to show you a unique strategy that very few people know about that's going to help you save more money for retirement and enjoy your money now, have more economic confidence. So when you do retire, you have more spendable income than what your current plan is providing you. That's why I'm here. Folks, does that make sense? Gee, Steve, it really does. Great, so I just need to ask you a couple questions. Why did you take this meeting? What were you hoping to achieve by meeting with me here today? There's the value, the trust builder question, right? So I'm wanting to build that trust, ask deeper questions, drilling down with whatever they answer me to create value by uncovering an obstacle they didn't know that could and would destroy a happy tomorrow. Okay? So trust times value equals win 3. I create trust and get into discovery through the power of questions. That's meeting 1. Then I create value creator meeting once they've declared what value is, and I keep showing them what my plan and what products might serve, eliminating that obstacle so they never experience the discontent they would experience if they didn't work with you or if they didn't work with me. Okay? And I know this makes sense to you. So what are the power of questions? Let's really think about this. And I want you to really reflect on the power of questions because I'm going to tell you a great truth. For years and years and years as a life coach, I talked too much. Many of you are afraid of the power of questions and the power of silence and feel uncomfortable when somebody is pondering an answer. And so you jump in and talk. I don't call the Trust Builder meeting 1 connection, the open talk, as many financial services professionals refer to a first meeting with a client. I call it the open listen. Here's why questions are so powerful. The great success coach Dan Sullivan says, questions are infinitely more powerful than answers because they open up the field of possibility for us to co-create together. Instead of just me coming in and say, hey, Chris, I know exactly what you need. That's BS. It's, hey, Chris, let's meet and let's connect and see if there's a win-win for us to work together. That's authentic and sincere. And the reason that I would want to meet with you is see if I could share some knowledge that would help you increase your bottom line with respect and grace and trust and elegance. And so I'm leading with intention. I'm showing you in real time in a role play what it might sound like. Now I get into discovery phase and I'm using questions because questions allow you to direct the thinking of another, not manipulate direct thinking away from fear and scarcity towards love and abundance. I want you to temporarily assume everybody's in fear and scarcity. And if I don't invite them to my offer, which is a question, are you willing to meet with me to see if we can show a win-win in your life and create a deeper win-win in your life through our meeting and work together? That's a question. And questions allow you to direct the thinking of another, understanding that most people are in fear and scarcity. And so as a teacher of abundance, as a teacher of prosperity, as one that's moving into the abundance paradigm, your job is to ask them, what is it you want? What would be a win for you here today? And when you do that, you're directing their thinking away from fear and scarcity and towards love and abundance. Questions help people discover what value really looks like for themselves, their family, and their business. Not telling, not selling, asking and discovery. Not telling and selling. That's the old model. Asking, inviting, discovering. Questions help people identify threats, obligations, and opportunities they may never have realized before. Threats, obligations, and opportunities cannot be resolved if they continue to go and remain unseen. You want to be a great question asker. You want to be a great storyteller. And also you want to have superior knowledge at your principles, planning, and skills. Clients' answers help you determine who they are and whether you want to work with them or not. That's the power of questions. I enrolled somebody last month, and this person was, and by the way, I care about this person, okay? Came to me via LinkedIn, somebody that worked with our company 15 years ago, didn't do the work, told me he wanted to work with me, came to the work, and in questioning him, I realized he wasn't going to do the work again. And we're not working together. And that's a win-win. Questions give you clues about what to say and what not to say to best influence and serve people that you do choose to work with. Questions push us to more, while answers make us think we're done. Yeah, I got the answer. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know that. That's why I say come to the work every day with a beginner's mind. The beginner's mind is a Zen concept, Zen Buddhist concept that prevents you from getting into pride mode, that keeps you buoyant and attuned to people. Think about it. Once you get an answer, you're done, right? You've discovered it. There's no need to go further. But when you have questions, you're pushed to keep going, to get more until you get an optimal answer. Most of the time in working with clients, the greatest calls is nothing I said or did. It was something that they realized and co-created with me for them. Remember that the mission-driven servant leader is not there to make people feel great about her. The mission-driven servant leader is to make people feel greater about themselves when they're with her. So by seeking in this way, by coming with a beginner's mind, by really being curious and inquisitive, we learn so much more than just the answer to one question. And it's in pushing for more that we grow and discover and co-create new possibilities. This is how we move people to discover and achieve and sustain an inflow of success and wellness through the power of questions and the power of intention. An idea is invitation, that's the intention externalized, and then discovery through the questions. Questions power humility. Answers can end in pride. If we're someone that tends to think we have all the answers, it always causes pride to grow. Questions, however, keep us humble. As long as there's a burning question in us, we never think we've discovered or become it all. While answers tend to isolate, questions engage camaraderie with others. Asking questions causes us to seek out other people that we think may have the answer. We build bonds and relationships with these people in order to find our answer. If we have the answer, these relationships and desire to connect slowly disappear. We think we don't need other people. That's why value-based enrollment is so powerful. Practicing value-based enrollment allows people to receive your offer and guidance naturally and efficiently with far less resistance. This deepens the impact of your work so you can have more fun, create more value, and earn more money. Now, what I'm going to do is put you into breakout rooms again. And this time we're going to go into breakout rooms for about 15 minutes. We're going to come back and summarize everything. And then I'm going to do a little Q&A for about 5 minutes, and it's going to be the end of our day. So what we're going to do is this, okay? This is our third breakout exercise. Go to page 11, and you'll see on page 11 it says, to become aware of a critical insight you'd not realized before. What is the critical factor that you became aware of today, right? You're going to write that down. Then you're going to create an action step around that. Then you're going to write the date I will begin doing that action step. And then you're going to write, I will know I succeeded at this effort when. So I want everybody to do this right now. I'm going to walk you through this, and then you're going to go into breakout rooms, and you're going to share what you did together with each other, okay? So I want you to go to number 1 right now. What is the critical factor? I really want you to just sit for a moment. What is the critical factor you became aware of today that you'd not or never realized before? Write it down there. What is the critical factor you became aware of today? Was it a leadership gap you never knew? Was it how big the ego was and how hard it was fighting you on being accountable? Was it to come to work with a beginner's mind instead of thinking you're a master? Right? Was it making sure you're doing affirmations and intentions and meditating because you've been struggling with it but hearing about it for years and years, but the truth is you're still not doing it? What was it? Was it discipline is freedom? Was it, oh my gosh, I always feel like discipline is punishing. Holy cow. Discipline is freedom. That's a critical insight. Now, what is the action step? What guidance can you give yourself from your higher self, from that divine intelligence that you affirmed? I am receiving divine intelligence. I am a divine being in touch with a divine purpose. And that divine intelligence is flowing through me. What is that divine intelligence telling you to do with it? Now that you have this insight, what is the action step? The action step's different than the insight. An insight's an aha. By the way, what I'm taking you through is what I call quantum leaps. This is how quantum leaps happen. These 3 things: to become aware of a critical insight you'd not realized. That's an insight. But what are you going to do with it? So write down your action step. I'm going to pause for a minute. And if the answer is I don't know, when you get in your breakout room, ask somebody. You'll be in breakout rooms in 2 minutes, 3 minutes. What is the date you will begin doing this action step? Don't write right now. Write a date. If the action step was practicing hard easy around my invitations, we used to call it prospecting, practicing hard easy when it comes to inviting people to my offer. And I'm going to make it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday are my hard days. I'm going to my calendar now, and I will begin on Tuesday. For the rest of this year, practicing hard inviting days for an hour each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I know I have succeeded at this effort when I'm getting a minimum of 3 new opens each week. I know I will have succeeded. Now, by the way, I'm just coming up with a possibility for you because I know that we have, so many financial advisors here. You might be marketing people. You might be somebody that works at BEI. I know some of the BEI people are here, right? Certified exit planners. And we all need more opportunities to invite people. So what is that critical insight? How will you know when you succeeded at this effort? That's really important. So you've done number one. Let's go to number two. To learn something important you'd not known before. The thing you had never learned before today is, maybe it's the power of asking questions. It's one of the things we do amazingly well in this course. Action step is to seek a coach that may help me become more thoughtful around the power of intention and asking better questions. Because prospecting, ultimately, inviting, right, is asking people great questions. It's an invitation. The date I will begin doing this action step. So you're writing down the insight that you'd never learned before today. You might want to look back through your pamphlet here and look at some of your notes. You go, oh, that was great. Yeah. I never knew that before today. Action step, I will come with a beginner's mind to each day by meditating, transcending the ego, and working on humility, intentional humility. Some of us are very prideful. I know I struggled with pride in my 30s, hardcore. Date I will begin doing this. When are you going to begin doing it? If it's today, if it's now, don't put now. Put the 25th, 26th, whatever date today is. What is it? 26th. June 26, 2020. And I will know I succeeded at this effort when. If you're working on ego, it might be when I no longer take rejection personally, right? I don't take rejection personally. It's got nothing to do with me. People never reject Steve D'Annunzio. They reject a story about Steve that they tell themselves in their head. But they're not rejecting me. They're not rejecting you ever. They don't know you. So what's the difference? If you're buoyancy, I'm buoyant. Keep asking, right? And number three, to commit to do what you've yet to achieve before. I'll never forget, I was opening for the great Wayne Dyer, God rest his soul. I was in Buffalo, New York with my best friend, Fred Johnson. And we did music for Wayne's speech, and he came out and someone asked him a question. Wayne's, what was the number one thing you did that made the biggest impact on your life to be successful? And he said, without batting an eyelash, meditation. How many times are you going to dance with this, friends? Right? So meditation might be the one insight that you commit to do that you've never achieved before. The thing that you committed to do today you've never done before is blank. It's up to you. It might be work with a coach. Okay? The action step is only you know. Write it. The date you will begin doing this is, might be this Monday, which is the 28th. And I know I will know I succeeded at this effort when I'm remaining solutions focused by not allowing my ego self, my lower self, to have me focus only on my problems and my fear and my scarcity and my suffering, right? So welcome back, everybody. People are just starting to come back, so welcome back, and I'm so honored you're here. So what I would like to say is, first of all, thank you for the gift of your soul purpose in this world that so desperately needs it right now. We can see how many people are divided. And I want to speak about what's going on in the world today because there's such an amazing opportunity happening in the world today. Just this amazing, amazing opportunity. And what I want, how you can participate from a soul purpose standpoint in this opportunity is really focus on what you are for. Don't worry about what you're against right now, right? You don't have to be against COVID-19. Just be for washing your hands, wearing a mask, and social distancing. If we do those things, you won't get sick, nor will the people you love. Similarly, in your business, you don't have to focus on what you're against. You don't have to, politically, don't focus on what you're against. When it comes to the protest, don't focus on what you're against. Let's focus on what we're for. Gandhi's great quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world," is where we're going with this, okay? So I want to take you through a couple of we had a couple questions around Amelia Vicini, my friend Amelia. I hope you're still here because you said, eliminate threats or mitigate threats. Well, some threats we can eliminate. We can get on a savings plan and save more money for retirement. We can eliminate the threat of running out of money in retirement, okay? But you can only mitigate something like COVID-19, right? So some threats you want to eliminate and some threats you want to mitigate, and the context will define the meaning. Also, somebody asked about, how do I take it? What's an action step to be the responsible challenger? And there's a skill that we teach called carefrontation. And carefrontation is a skill that is the way that we responsibly challenge somebody is by saying what I don't want to do and what I do want to do. Right? So you may say you want to talk to somebody about not showing up for work on time. And it might be an assistant. I'm just making something up, right? And you might say, hey, Steve, what I don't want to do is make you think you're not valued here because we value you tremendously. What I do want to do is let you know that I notice you've been coming in every day. Instead of at 9, you're drifting in at 9:10, 9:15, 9:30. Is there a reason why? So you start out by mitigating what you don't want to do. What you don't want to do is make them feel confronted. The second piece is what I do want to do is really showing them the power of intention and how important it is that we maintain our word to each other, because what happens when we begin to break our word is that we begin to break the natural laws of the universe. Our word is our bond. So when you start out, Justin, it was a great question, Justin Macris, about how do we practice carefrontation? What we also want to do is let people know that what I don't want to do is make you feel confronted. What I do want to do is your permission to carefront you. And what do you think I mean by not confronting, but asking your permission to carefront? And you be quiet. You ask that question, open-ended question. You're enrolling them into allowing you to be the responsible challenger. Responsible means challenging with love, to uphold our word together, right? So they'll say something like, well, you don't want to confront me, you want to care. Well, you want to be direct with me because you care. Exactly. Now what you've done, Justin, is you've entered into the shared pool of meaning with people. You've entered a shared pool of meaning. I'm not here to make you feel bad about yourself. I'm here for us to reboot our relationship based on our word to each other. Because the truth is they're breaking their word to you. Right? You're paying somebody $500 a week, $1,000 a week to show up from 9 to 5. They're showing up at 9:30 to 4:30. They're breaking their word. Are you bouncing a paycheck on them? No. Believe me, if you bounced a paycheck, you'd hear it. So we carefront people by using the power of intention by saying, I don't want to confront you. What I do want is your permission to carefront you. What do you think I mean by carefronting? And they'll go, I don't know. Well, you want to be direct with me because you care. Exactly. And no matter what people say there, I say, if they go, I don't know, I say, well, great. I got some time. Think about it. You're a brilliant guy. What do you think I mean by carefronting you? What other questions did we have, Alicia? I handled Amelia's question, Justin's question. I did that. Suggestions on responsible challenger. Okay, so I think we're pretty good. So I want to end with this, everybody. And then I'm going to stay on for another couple minutes in case there's any other live questions. But I want to take you through this last slide because it's one of my favorite slides and it's really important. It's a poem by Portia Nelson called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters. And really what it takes you through.
We can't see it, Steve.
Oh, well, that would help, wouldn't it? Oh, picky, and now you want to see it. Just kidding. I learned something that when I go out of that mode, it stops my slide screen sharing. Can you see it? Yes, Jenna said yes. So autobiography in 5 short chapters. The first chapter is fear mode. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes a long time to find a way out. Then we get into level 2 of leadership, desire. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. Ah, oh, that's what they're seeing. Hold on. My screen sharing is paused. Never seen such a thing. So let's try it again. Glad I'm acting this out. Resume share. Let's hope this works. Can you see it? Oh, it's showing that. Let's try this.
We can see it now, so that looks better.
Well, you should be able to see.
Well,
It's just not letting me share the full screen, and I think I know why.
we can continue.
Hold on. Let me end that show. This is really good if I can get it up there for you guys. There we go. So chapter 1 is I walk down the street. It's really fear mode, the first level of leadership. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes a long time to find a way out. Second chapter, chapter 2, it's desire mode, second leadership level. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to find a way out. Chapter 3, pride mode. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it's there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4, mission mode. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. And chapter 5 is love mode. I walk down another street. Thank you for sharing the street here together today. I love each and every one of you, which means I see in you the creativity of your soul purpose, knowing that when you bring it to the world, we are all making the world a better place. I'm going to stay on for another minute or two. I'll stay here for 10 minutes if you have questions. Anybody have a comment or a question? If you do, open up your microphone, unmute yourself, and ask.
So Steve, I think this is great, and we have to spend the whole morning together. Thank God. But
Hi, Glenn.
so I appreciate it. But I want to just, you have like this magical way with asking certain questions, and I sent you an email which you probably haven't seen yet, but you talked about the unique proposition and more economic competence in retirement, and I think that probably all of us on this call might benefit if you could, and if you'd be willing to maybe put together maybe your top 5 or top 10 questions with your verbiage, with your words, and with your music that we can then make our own. Because for me, I've been in the business a long time. I have a lot of my own questions built in, but I'm hearing magical bites that I think would even help me succeed even more. And so
Sure.
I imagine that some of the people, like I spoke to a couple of brand new people that are in our other breakout, I'm sure they would benefit from that even greater. So if I
You
could
got it,
put
buddy.
that, I would
I'll
appreciate
send
it.
out the wisdom questions, Glenn. I have 20 questions that are the top 20, and I'll send them out to everybody, okay?
Thank you.
That's good.
You're welcome.
Hey, Steve, I want to
Yes, sir.
thank you. Just wanted to share my experience. When I was in India growing up, I used to do yoga and meditation. Came to States and gotten away from it. And by you reintroduced me to my roots, I want to thank you. And I made a commitment. I'm going to start doing it for 1 year and see what happens.
God bless you, Sonny. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing that, and I appreciate you. Who else? Comments, questions, feedback?
Steve, this is Matt Kern in Charlotte.
Hi, Matt.
For everyone's benefit or clarity, Steve's not paid me to say this. I have just finished, or I'm in the last chapter of your book, The Prosperity Paradigm. Life-changing material. I can't thank you enough for writing it. And I look forward to your 2020 update version.
You got it, buddy. Thank you, Matt. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. And there will be $20 in the mail on its way in the form of 20 wisdom questions. May you make 20,000 from it. Thank you, Matt. Who else? Comments, questions, feedback?
Steve, I just want to say thank you for your time. It was a great day.
Hey, Huff. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. You're welcome, my friend. Anyone else?
One more thing, Steve. I know we've gone through some of the material too fast. Is it possible to have your recorded version of the video?
Yes.
So we
We'll
can
be sending
revisit
that
it?
out probably on Monday. That'll go out, Sonny.
Okay, yeah. Once it's available, because I got session 1 and I love it because I can stop it and read it and write it, and so that helps me.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve, this is Bay from Houston.
Hey, Bay.
What's the difference between affirmations and meditations?
So an affirmation is more like a prayer. It's more like thinking about using the power of language from your higher self. Like prayer is really connecting to God, right? It's speaking to God, whereas meditation is really listening to God. So what are you more interested in? I think they're both powerful, but I'm much more interested in what God has to say than what I have to say. Does that make sense, Bay?
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Great question, buddy. Thank you. Thanks for being here today.
Steve, I just wanted to say thanks for the invitation.
Hi,
Great to be
Fred.
here. And I love you, man. I love you deeply. Truly.
Love
Thank
you.
you so much.
I love you, brother. I receive your love, and I'm honored that you came. And thanks for taking us up on the invitation. It's always a better group when you're in it, Fred.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Steve is Jeff Drake in California, Fresno. I just want to say
Jeff.
that the great takeaway for me in the foundation, it just occurred to me, is the learning of the power of my intention that supports and is the foundation of everything you're teaching us. And I've been very diligent about this. I read it, I've recorded it, I listen to it, and I look at it before I make reach outs to my ideal clients.
Beautiful.
And I just want to say it's been so powerful, and it helped me become very mindful of this. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jeff. How does it change the energy with which you invite those ideal clients? What does it do to actually create a shift for you and maybe even in their receptivity?
Well, I tell you, it's so new for me. It's just kind of like raw emotion, really. It's like crazy. I'm a outdoor, go get it, fix it, do it kind of a guy that's always learned by doing through going through tough things. And this has just completely shifted that. I mean, whether I were even leaving a short voice message as opposed, I'm tearing up as I'm saying this right now.
It's good.
It puts me in a position to come out of my heart completely, totally. And so the words that I share with someone, their only attachment is to love and serving that person. That's been the most ironic and amazing breakthrough for me. And it's just the beginning. So that shift for me has been the greatest thing. And what that's going to mean as I continue to practice and act upon what we're doing here is just, to me, the manifold exponential impact is just, I can't even quite put my head around it. I'm beautifully excited about that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Jeff. And thank you for sharing with everybody your own experience. Who else? Comments? Yes, sir.
Jeff Stephen White out in Denver, Colorado.
Hi, buddy. How are you? Nice to see you.
I'm doing great. Nice to see you as well, sir. You're looking awesome.
Hey, thanks, bud.
You're looking awesome. No, I first thank you and Emily for the invitation. I can't tell you how powerful, words can't describe how powerful this was for me today. The material from page 1 to the last page resonated and then gave me such tremendous energy of love and empathy, and brought me back to some awareness, some things that I am now aware of that have leaked out of my practice. But more importantly, taking action steps to plug those leaks and bring them back in. But as importantly, the energy that came out of this session from the people, from you, from the participants, energy of love and empathy and caring.
Yeah,
I'm fired up, man. This was awesome.
that's great, buddy. I'm so glad. Thank you for being here. We miss you.
Oh, you bet. You bet.
Thanks, buddy. Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Comments, questions, feedback? All right, everybody. God bless you. Have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much for your being here. We'll send you the slides. We're also going to send you an online survey. It would really be helpful to us if you complete that survey. We'll send you a recording once it's mastered and done. And thanks again, and God bless you. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.